Well, remember last week when Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen told us this?
The CBD of Melbourne is safe, and I wish to reiterate that the Melbourne CBD is safe.
Well, it was a joke then and an even bigger joke now. Labor seems to have lost control of crime, and serious questions are being asked about the leniency of bail applications after 3 teenagers accused of a machete attack at Luna Park this month were set free on bail despite the magistrate acknowledging the allegations were extremely serious. Joining me now is Victoria's Shadow Police Minister David Southwick. David, thank you for your time. Look, the Premier's leaving the door open to further bail changes, we're told, but that in spite of all we've seen, some of her cabinet still don't want to see the laws tightened. Surely this is completely at odds with community expectations.
Yeah, great to be with you, Danica. You're absolutely right. So the government's very much divided on toughening up bail laws. And don't forget, we had the Premier say we've got the toughest bail laws in the nation. Yet we're seeing, as you mentioned, an offender that had allegedly 2 other machete attacks being bailed again. I was at Luna Park yesterday, actually, where the attack took place. That's a family-friendly area. That's somewhere that people take their kids and enjoy. I was outside the big mouth of Luna Park, which some would say that he's smiling. I would say very much that young offenders are smiling and laughing at this government because they have weak laws. And if you break the law in Victoria, you're out and about, certainly before police even finish their shift. Police are exhausted. They're frustrated. Victorians have had enough. They've had a gutful. It's a lawless state. And you mentioned as well, the rocks being pelted at police. It's all happening in Victoria. It's hopeless. It gives no confidence for anyone wanting to restart Victoria. And we've got to ensure that the state's safe, and it absolutely is not.
Well, you're right. I mean, this is exactly what Victoria's, toughest bail laws in the country looks like, and it's been an absolute disaster from day one. What does the opposition want to see done right now to crack down on really what feels like daily stories of serious knife crime?
Yeah, well, if you're committing a serious crime, and particularly when somebody's going into your home with a machete or taking a knife at another person on the street, there's got to be consequences. And that's not happening. The government produced a whole lot of bail laws, but they're exclusions with young offenders. It's the young offenders that are actually committing these crimes. Now, I don't care whether you're 14 or 40. If you're taking a knife to a person and threatening their life, then you should not be allowed back on the street to recommit those offences. There's got to be consequences. And we need to ensure that victims are put first and community certainly can go about their lives not having to look over their shoulders. That, again, is not happening, and we've got to change it up. And as I say, young people, they're using social media. They're talking about how to get off. They're actually using AI to be able to suggest what they might say in a court so they can get off and get back on the streets. Simply, that's not good enough, and we've got to lock up violent offenders, no matter what the age.
No, I agree. It does not matter what age they are. Teach these kids a lesson. Before we let you go, it's not just your federal counterparts that are fighting it out over net zero, but you're also in a bit of a bind. Victoria's opposition leader Brad Batten is coy about committing to net zero by 2045 with a policy announcement before next year's election. Surely net zero by 2045 just isn't feasible. And what's more, don't you need to be calling out the 2035 target, this is of 75 to 80%, given that in itself is actually unlikely to be met?
Look, I mean, we'll have policy when it comes to targets, but what I will say on this, because I did have the energy portfolio, is we've got to have supply and competition. And this government, back when I had that portfolio, we said more onshore conventional gas. If the government would have accepted what we had suggested, we would have more supply and lower prices and not the energy crisis that we're in. That's what we need. Competition, supply will bring prices down and provide certainty. And the government needs to do that. The fact that we've got a ban on new homes for being able to use gas, I think says it all in Victoria. We've got to change it up. And I'm big on ensuring that there is the right types of energy mix and we transition to clean energy. But at the same time, bills going through the roof like they are in Victoria is not the answer. Competition is, supply is, and let's get the market in to do the job, not the government, which we know everything the government touches falls to a mess, and that's not the way to run our energy system.
No, and it's happening across the country as well. David Southwick, appreciate your time. Thanks very much
Pleasure.
for joining me.